Alright, stream's starting soon. Let's see where we are. We're loading up the map, waiting for content to come in. And we are waiting for the last of the map to load up. So let's see where we are. Nope, still not there yet. Come on, there it is. Alright, when we left the map, I believe we left space for the bus and a train station. We're going to have to do a little finagling for the train station, but we've got ourselves a good chunk of maneuvering / parking area. Alright. I hear the screams of happy people. Yay, the mayor's coming back. Yay. Okay. We got the theater district. Let's see where things are. Alright, so we need to move the recycling center to get the train out to here when we have enough money. And I do not know if we're going to hiccup this road over. That's what we might do. I'd hate to do a train intersection, although, I mean, how often a train's going to come in here? I don't think it's going to be that bad, but we've got ourselves a bit of a transportation hub, which is going to cover us for all of around here and allow us to run a monorail loop out to here and a monorail loop around here. So just this section of the map, we can get quite a bit done and still leave some space. Now, where are we on milestones? Okay, 2200 for Boomtown, and we're at 1453. We've got some money in the bank and money coming in. Things are looking okay. Let's see how congested we are on parking and traffic. Okay, traffic is looking great. Let's make sure that the parking AI option is enabled in Traffic Manager, just to make sure. Gameplay. Enable advanced vehicle AI. Enable more realistic parking. Yes. Make sure they're still there. Yes, they are. Okay. Now back to traffic. Nothing yet, but I believe we've left a good amount of parking spaces. We should put a row of parking across here. Or a park. Something to increase the land value in here. That's the park itself. Oh yeah, we got the big park going through here. How's that doing? Entertainment till next. We've got to up the entertainment a little bit. And we don't have a lot to do it in. So what's in our city park? City park. We've got entrances. We did the bathrooms. We did the... Is the chessboard down there? Yeah, here's the chessboard. And if we put some water in there, but none of this is unlocked, and these are just decorative items we can put down. So in that regard, and you don't get a lot for those, in like 1 point each sort of thing. And if you just spam it down, it clutters the place up. And if I recall, I don't think the fence did any decorative. Where's the park at? Let's double check. The park is at 358. And the fence shouldn't buy us anything. Nope, 358. If that stretch there is even part of the park. Alright, so what can we put in here that doesn't junk this place up? I mean, we could always do another chessboard. But that seems... See, we need to get to the next level for the gazebos. And then climbing frame, trampoline park. So we don't actually get a lot to make the park better. If we had water, though, and the other thing we talked about was running the park to this. Because we could do something nice back here. And I think we actually already expanded the park back here, didn't we? Trails Park. Park area. What's the best way to get across the street? Let's say we tear down this building and come over here. Now the question is, can we put a lake back here? Because that would look kind of cool behind the theater. Let's just drop the theater in the park too. Just to be. Okay. And now we want to get across the street. Is this any building? No, it's just a general store. Okay. So we know we can get across the street. We're going to lose our yakisoba. Alright, let's okay, here's where we mess things up all the time. Let's dig a hole first. There you are. Stop moving up and down. Okay, up and down. Shift terrain. There we go. Ditch. Is that really what? A ditch? Whoa. Let's lower that brush size down quite a bit. Now how do we get rid of this right here? There we go. Okay. So let's put a lake in here. Alright, that seems way too big. So we change the water capacity way down. Like that. That is still bigger than the lake. Than the hole we put in the ground. Let's try something like that. Alright, now there's supposed to be a way to grab this. Okay, primary mouse button to place. Okay, click, drop, we got that. And then secondary mouse button to remove. Use the handle to adjust the water level. So there we go. We want it way down there. Let's see what we did. Let's see if this is the end of today's session and we're doing a stop and a restart and going back. Come on. Hey, look at that. Got a bit of a lake. Now, how low is the water? That seems very low. Like, how do we raise that up just a little bit? Can we raise it up a little bit, or are people going to be like, don't touch it, you screwball? Alright, let's see what that does. Is it coming up any? So hard to tell. Awfully rough seas in this little pond out here behind the theater. Alright, let's try one more time. Nope, not that much. Obviously, that's the part we don't want. We don't want the spillage. Okay. Alright, that dried up. I wonder if we could smooth these edges out. There is a smoothing tool. Let's see. Slope. There's slope. Level. The smooth. Soften. There you go. Soften. Soften gently. I don't know what that's going to do. How does that look? Oh, it looks better over here. And we're in autosave. Where's my tequila? Mazel tov. Alright, so the water is... That looks better. I guess we soften this. This is a little too... Yeah, but can I put a dock in here? Let's go to our park. Here's our small buildings. Here's a park pier. Now, if we put the park pier here, and then we do a park pier number 2. Let's see how these end up looking. Let's do our park path across the street then. Alright, we know this thing. Yeah, see, White Castle. Is this historical? Yes, it is. It is now. Yakisoba. Alright, we're paused. Let's come across park path. Okay. There's a divot in the ground there. Interesting. Alright, so we're here, but we want to be up. Do we have bridge mode? I think we have a thing called bridge mode. Ground. There we go, bridge mode. Alright, so we're going to be 9 meters. Just enough to get us across the street. There we go. Alright. Now we're going to go back down to our regular mode. So you can take a walk across the street, get you over to here. We should put an entrance over here by the museum, or by the theater. This is the theater, isn't it? It is the Founders Theater, over here in Founders Square. So let's get a small park entrance right here. That lets you get into the park. And from here, bring it all the way down. Is this connected now? Yes, it is. Let me do a little something like this. Let's get this over a little more. And let's get this over to here a little more. That doesn't, no, that touches right up to it. Alright, that's good. Now, I've got to bend this over here a little bit. There we go. Now we have a park path. I guess this problem is too close. So let's bring it around town. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. There we go. And then we bring this over to here. There you go. You can come across the street and get right to the theater. It's still a little bit of a circular walk, but it brings you into the theater. Let's see if anybody uses the bridge. Oh, let's see. Do we have night? There's people in the park. Did this change our park level any? Oh yeah, 45. Oh, there you go. Somebody just rode across on a bike. So we do have bikers. Here we go. Somebody's coming this way. Let's see where they go. Do they go somewhere? Do they make a loop around the park? Where do they go? You know, there's supposed to be a... This seems way steeper than it should be. Going to the park pier. And there she is out there at the park pier. Good job, Ms. Harris. Alright. So we built ourselves a lake. That will increase the value of all the buildings that we put back around here. And what's going on down here? Not enough electricity. Oh, we are low on electricity. Like quite a bit. What are we doing to make electricity? We've got this guy, these guys. That's it. We've been relying on solar and wind. I wonder, can we put another wind turbine out here? I don't think these things actually produce that much in this area. Yeah, see, we're getting 2 megawatts for 6,000. One even up here. No, we're not getting any good power. 7. Well, that was a 7. That's not too bad. 5's on the coast, which we don't want to ruin because we don't know what we're doing out there yet. Let's see, what about along the highway? 3's. A 3 up here. 2. 4. I think our best bet is up here with a 7. But that's 6,000 for 7. Alright, and what if we do this? That's 1,000 for 2 to 3, and it gives us parking. See, That is just, I don't, we need the parking. And I don't think we can beat that. We could do parking over here on the corner of the parks. That's the museum. Alright. Did we fix our solar problems? No, because it's dark. Of course we didn't fix up solar problems. We need something. As soon as we get an upgrade, we need to get into a better position. And we don't have transit yet. You know, if we had built the lake bigger, we could have done a path all the way around it. I mean, we're not using this road for anything right now. I wonder, could we run a path along here, down and around inside the park? I mean, it'll make the park look better, but, you know, we need the parking. Go in the neighborhood shop. Where's this guy going? Why did he come around back here? He went quite a bit out of his way. I wonder if he just wanted to make a U-turn. And then get over. I need a big truck. Because I think this is too high. There we go. There's our... Yeah, we can come down a notch on this. How's that look? That makes that slope look much better. It's no longer the Conshohocken Death Hill. I'd like to start doing some beautification in the park, but I have a feeling that when we get to the next level, we're not going to be able to make it to level 4. And maybe a gazebo, 2 gazebos over here is all we're going to be able to do. You know, it's supposed to be a park. It's not supposed to be jam-packed. You know what I'd like in a tree? Do we have something like a cherry tree or like an apple? Like something flowering. Oh, here we go. Is that a cherry? It is. Let's do... And a cherry picker. That's awesome. We have a cherry picker. That's... I think we can make this a line of cherry trees. Something to really liven that up.
Hello.
Hey Jeff, welcome back.
Thanks.
I'm actually streaming right now, Jeff. So
You're streaming.
yeah, just a heads up.
Okay. You're watching a video.
No, I'm posting one. I'm doing one live right now. So just a heads up. Anything you say is going out over YouTube. So now is not the time to say my social security number is 222.
You're close. You're close. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Cherry trees.
I downloaded experimental mode, or the new one part of that, about 3.5 gig, and then ran in the game, and the space elevator even says version 5 on it. The space elevator says not available in early access. You can't. I'm already got past 4, so
Usually when you upgrade to a newer version, you have to... I always tell people that if there's another version or a patch that comes out, it's best to just do a clean start. You know.
yeah. That's like a month of work. Like, holy cow.
It's not work, it's fun. It's just a game. You're having a good time.
Well, I know that, but it's a long way.
Well, I understand.
If only I had more time. If I was like retired or something like that, I could have more time to do stuff like that.
You are retired.
Well, that's right. Been retired for 3.5 months.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, yeah, I'd like to see that, but it's a multiplayer game. I'd rather do it with other people, not solo.
Well, that's the tagline here. A bad day playing a multiplayer game with friends is better than a good day playing it by yourself or with strangers.
Right.
'Cause you could have a horrible night with friends where everybody dies repeatedly. You make no progress. It's still better than playing it solo. I mean, there are people who like playing games solo. I mean, no judgment on their, but I mean, I definitely think it's better in multiplayer. So I'm with you there.
Yeah, I guess most people in multiplayer will play solo until they get up to the max level. Then they play with teams and stuff. But I don't see that. I mean, like John and I both play Lord of the Rings sometimes, and we were playing a couple of days ago. But when he wasn't there, he was playing Space Engineers or he was doing moving stuff or something. I went on to Lotro and I was starting to play this one character I had, and after a couple of days playing it, I just stopped and I said, I don't want to play it anymore. It's not fun playing by yourself for very long.
Oh no, I mean it never is. I mean there are people who play, solitaire solo games. I mean it's just a pastime thing. Did you see the list that I posted earlier today on TV shows?
No.
It was a list of 101 television shows asking, do you watch too much TV? And most people would generally say no, but it gives you a list of the shows and says, how many of these shows have you ever watched to 10 or more episodes? I mean, I know people who answered that list with 20 and 30 of those shows. And it's like, I could barely, I had to struggle to come up with 4 of them. And even then I was like, that still seems like a lot.
Some people watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
They can't wait to go home and watch it or something like that. I haven't watched TV in years and years. So
Water
I
check.
don't.
Don't forget to grab a drink. Take a sip of your water.
I think
You're going to love this part, Jeff. Touch your toes. It's the stand up, touch your toes. Make sure all 12 of them are there. And then when you sit down, make sure you have good posture.
Oh, okay.
It's on the video. I've had this on my stream ever since I started doing it. It's been I thought it's been an interesting little, little pastime. You should be able to.
When update 4 came out in Satisfactory, I went into experimental mode and I went all the way up to 4.
Mm-hmm.
But then, before I got to get complete 4,
And by 4, you're talking about the level on the space elevator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Update 4, but came out with the stuff. But anyway, when that had come out, that's why I started over again. I wanted to be able to do it. But anyway, after a couple months of playing, they said that it's available on all modes. I mean, none of it be experimental mode. And I actually turned that game over to the other version of it and kept on playing. I wasn't in experimental mode anymore.
Well, here's something else to keep in mind with especially Satisfactory, because Christmas time is coming, and there's going to be a. I mean, they did it last year. There'll be that Christmas event, making all the Christmas packages and stuff. So, I mean, you have to ask yourself: are you going to start a brand new map for it, or do you fit it into an existing game? Because it's Christmas season. I mean, if there were still malls in America anymore, they'd be playing Christmas music right now.
Huh. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. I was playing a game, City of Heroes, and a month ago they started. They came out with this patch or something, and this big old globe that shows the world above on this guy's shoulders on this in this one area we go to,
Yeah, that's
and
Atlas on
and
the roof of Paragon City, in the Paragon City
yeah, and
courtyard there.
then they turned into a giant pumpkin for Halloween and stuff, and they had all these Halloween events. This was back in October 1st. Guys, come on now. It's not the Halloween season or something, like Christmas season is, or even Thanksgiving. But they used to be it. They would start playing Christmas music on radios and stuff after Thanksgiving.
There was a
Now,
there was a time where I believe the most people spend on shopping on holidays. I think Halloween is the one that gets the second amount of spending on, and of course Christmas being the first.
right? You mean
Because you
for
got
candy?
well, don't forget you've got costumes, you've got liquor sales, food sales, Halloween parties.
Oh, right.
There's a lot of stuff that people do on Halloween. Yeah, we still need more buildings. How do these two do?
Well, when I was a kid, people gave away big candy bars. Now it's like penny candy, and it's been like that for a long time. Um, they they see these giant bags full of these little tiny candy bars, bite size, and they give them away. And I said, "Geez, whatever happened?" Because back when I was a kid, those big candy bars were a nickel. They were cheap.
Well, you also, I mean, as a child, I don't ever recall anyone. I mean, we used to ride our bike into other neighborhoods if they had staggered days, like when Halloween was on a Friday or a Saturday.
Hmm.
And, you would hear that, the next town over was doing Halloween on Friday. And you'd have people who'd be like, hey, let's take our bikes over. We can go do an extra Halloween run. You know, but now, I mean, you know, and actually the one thing that's changed with Halloween that I like is the trunk or treat. I think that's a really good idea. You
Trunk
know,
or treat?
yeah, you want to participate in Halloween, you drive down to your local, your park service or some club or organization or some religious group that you belong to, and they fill up the parking lot with all the cars, and it's safe for the kids to walk around.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember those.
I mean,
Sure.
we did it one year where my wife was teaching, and all of her students came by. They were excited to see her. We had the back of the van. When you opened it up, we decorated it.
Hmm.
There's other people who, I mean, like the lift gate on the back of a truck. The gate rolled up and stuff just spewed on the ground. They had decorations and stuff they set up. They went to, they decorated their little parking spot.
Mm,
It's a chance to be creative, and it's
sure.
that creativity that contributes to all the money that people spend on Halloween. Because you're going to spend money putting this big elaborate decorative thing together. Well, you're going to have a party, invite people over to show off your creation. You know.
I remember the paper the paper bags that you you bought for the kids to collect candy in and stuff. You could never fill those things up. They would break open and spill everywhere if it did that. So they get so much they go home. But then some friends of mine
We use
said, "Oh,
pillowcases.
yeah, pillowcases," and I went, "Oh my god, yeah, you can get a ton of stuff in these things."
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I guess so.
I mean, if you had a cool parent, your pillowcase was decorated too.
Oh well, no, but I tell you, one thing was pretty cool, and I'm sure it cost a little bit of money, but we went to one house, and they said just go around the back, go around the back, okay.
Never,
So we go
never
around the
seen
back,
again.
and they have a barbecue up there set up. They're giving away hamburgers and hot dogs.
Well,
Oh,
that's
cool.
cool. That could be fun.
Yeah, they could do that these days, but it'd be a very expensive ordeal. Back then, it was nothing. Mom was telling us that. I said, "How much are groceries these days?" When I was a kid, I asked her this, and she says, "Well, a grocery bag of paper, no, paper bags, it's about $1 a piece, $1.50 for each one full of groceries."
I mean, everything's relative.
Yeah, but then they didn't make as much back then either. I mean, if you made $20 a week, or no, probably a little more than that, but still,
Well, the rule of thumb when you were, I mean, the era that we're talking about was that if you were in business for yourself, you needed to be making at least $100 a day.
right. Well, the house we moved into in 1967, I found out it was a 2 bed or a 4 bedroom house with a family room and a living room, and I mean, big thing, 2 car garage and 2 acres of land and all this stuff. And this is about 15, 20 miles outside Washington D.C. And it was $38,000. So today it's, I don't know, 800, not 2 million. I don't know, a lot. The When my parents bought their townhouse, they lived in for like 50 years in Reston, Virginia, which is just outside D.C. Um, they paid 75,000 for it. 10 years later, the um, the guy in the next building over, he sold his place for $1.1 million. Yeah, because behind the townhouse was a lake, a
Well,
42-acre lake.
there are plenty of people that have, I mean, that's their largest investment, their home. It's, I have worked with people who, I mean, I would easily describe them as house poor. They invest all their money in this huge house. They never go on trips. They never go on vacations.
Why they can't afford it?
Yeah.
They're paying the mortgage for this thing.
Well, and I learned that years ago when I was involved in politics a lot more. I mean, when I was on the campaign trail and even when I was running for office, you would go to someone's house and there'd be nothing in the dining room.
Really?
And the living room might have been like a card table, with like two or three, four folding chairs, and that was it. But
Huh.
but it allowed them to buy that big fancy house in the neighborhood where they wanted to live. And it. I guess the question is, in the long run, you can all like our first apartment. My wife and I went to James Way, and at the time we spent several $100s. It was a multiple shopping cart full trip with everything to stock up the kitchen, all the linens, all the the toiletries, the house cleaning supplies. When we moved into the apartment after our first trip shopping, we came home that night, and once all the wrappings and the cardboard was taken out to the dumpster, I mean, it looked like we were home.
Huh.
All of our stuff was everything was there. There are other people who, I can easily see that somebody would move into a new place and they underestimated or didn't even think about it. You know, I mean, you're moving into a new place. You're not getting toilet brushes. You're not getting toilet paper, paper towels. I mean, all that is, you know, or a vacuum cleaner or a Swiffer, a mop and bucket. This stuff's got to come from somewhere. I'm trying to get my city and city skylines up to 2200 today. And I'm struggling not to junk the place up. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's, I have a habit in every game that I play and everything where I build. I have a plan. You know, I want to leave stuff spaced out. I want room. But, you know, if you're not too careful, it just, it backfires on you too easy. Alright, and here comes the sunrise.
Have you ever played Banished?
Yes, I believe everyone in the world has played Banished. It came out, I believe, 8 years ago, if not 10. It has, it was sort of the watershed game for city builders and control of individual people. Because, you know, in Banished, you don't assign people a task, you create jobs, and then they go do the jobs, you know, based upon what needs to be done. So, but you do get to place the buildings, and you do assign, you know, you can assign people to things, but, you know,
Sure.
it's part of that. The more you micromanage it, the more you take a chance that you're going to miss something and a fire is going to break out. And people are going to go off to do the task you told them to do, and they're going to miss you because of the fire. It's
Right.
it's an interesting, but there have been games ever since then that are constantly referred to as in the style of Banished, and it really just asks the question of things have been in the style of Banished for so long. When the hell is something going to be in the style of something else? You know, and oh, I lost a park path. Let me get that back. Did some construction over here, and
Wow, you got Railway Empire 374 hours on it. Good Lord. You actually played it this month.
yeah, I went back into Railway Empire and attempted to. I had started out thinking that I would stream it because oh, look at that, park is upgraded finally. I wanted to be able to finish every single scenario at the CEO level. There are a couple that I just never got it at that level, and I wanted to go back and try them all. And when I looked at the game the other day, they had a sale to pick up all of, let's see how our park is done, to see how 660, 87, 20, one more gazebo should do it. That'll get us to level. You know, how I don't know how far you played it, but
What, Banished?
no, Railway Empire.
Oh, that. No, I very little. Isn't that a really old game, like 20 years or something?
No, it's the game's been out for 5 years now. It's not.
Huh. That's all I hear that you played Banished for 60 hours. Isn't
Well,
that a lot?
for Banished, yes, it is. Unless you're going to live in it.
Yeah, well, I got 938 hours. I lived in it, I guess.
See, that's the problem. It begs the question of were there other games at the time, like, you know, like there's another game that come. Also, if you're stalking me on Steam, you also have to remember that I have multiple Steam accounts, and I have multiple copies of different games. If there's somebody in the family that had a game or somebody needed a copy to borrow because we were playing it, I generally would not. I would never buy a game for someone. I mean, unless it's somebody in my family, and then it's like, here's the Steam accounts in the family for them to use. But what I
I
would,
bought I
go ahead.
bought Dan Satisfactory.
Yeah, I would have no. I think it's easier to just, here's the game, and you and your friends can go play it, and then we're done. I have it. You pass the key access on to someone else because, if you have, as long as you have the recovery on the account, because it's a little hard to ask somebody to play a game with you for, the next 4, 6, 8 hours when, it's like go shell out 40, $50 on the games at its peak. That could be a little inconsiderate sometimes. You kind of have
Well,
to.
I would never do that. I mean, even John and them will say, "Hey, Jeff, you can try this game out. They're only selling for $5
Well,
or
that's the
something."
difference, though. But if a title is popular at the time, and it just came out and it's selling for 40 or
Well,
50
yeah,
bucks,
I paid $60 for Fallout 4. John paid $5 for it. I saw it was on sale and he bought it.
yeah. But if there's an event going on and you've got a couple people playing and somebody doesn't own it, if I have like for one of my kids, here's their game and they have a friend that wanted to play it, so I bought 2 copies of it. Now I have 2 Steam accounts that have the game on it. Well, tonight you and I are hosting an event, and 7 of us have the game, and one person logs in and doesn't. It's like, hey, here, use this key code, play the game. Hop in and join us, and they get to play the game. They don't have to buy it, and because at the end of 4 or 5 hours, they're not going to buy it. They're being a good sport, and they're joining the team for the fun of it.
Right.
They're not there for the. I've done it myself plenty of times. Here's a game. It's not really the game I feel like playing right now, but there's 4 or 5 people playing it. Join in. The problem is, and this is something that I've talked about many times here, as a disabled person, there are gaming groups that I've been a member of who very clearly have said, no, no, we understand you're playing at a different thing. And then all of a sudden, there's a raid or an event that occurs. And they need you or they need me because otherwise they're going to forfeit. They can't go. And they just want the extra body to fill in the slot. And I've had times where I've told them, it's like, no, I mean, I'm not going to do well at that game. I mean, I can't play at the raid event or like World of Warcraft. At the lower level raids compared to the higher level raids, there's a huge difference in the amount of stuff that shows up on the screen that you have to be aware of. And it's too much visual information. But I've had people who in guilds that I've been a part of have sat back and said, hey, we needed you on Saturday and you didn't join the team. We're booting you out of the guild. It's like, okay, well, that's not what we discussed a few weeks ago. And their answer is, yeah, but we needed you. You should have joined us. And and I have also been part of groups where I've told them, look, I'm just going to be a body here. I'm going to be able to contribute nothing to this raid. And I've joined because they've insisted. And then at the end of it, you get kicked out of the guild because of your raid performance. And it's like, I told you I was not going to be doing well at this. Yeah, but we just thought, we didn't know that's what you meant. We thought you were some other excuse. It just comes down to, it's an excuse to, you know, they screwed up. They didn't have enough people, and they're looking to lash out in some other way. And it just has to do with the maturity of the people. 3 people got laid off at our factory because no one was buying our goods. Oh, got a pretty big consumer demand going on over here. Let's drop down a few more stores. I don't know if I ran water out of here. Yes, I did.
Oh, John and I we wanted to play Fallout 4 on multiplayer, and they have it. They have multiplayer, you can do it, but it was so complicated to figure out how to make that thing work. And I said, I don't know, talk to Jim. Maybe he knows. Maybe he can figure that out. You're much smarter than all of us combined. So um,
Please, please.
I'm a,
It's true, but no need to say it.
yeah,
I'm too
I'm
modest
a
to say it
truck
myself.
driver. I'm a truck driver. I couldn't computer stuff. No, I'm just a user. Um,
There are people who wouldn't understand how to use a walking floor on the back of a trailer. It's
yeah,
confounded to them.
well,
There are people who can't drive a stick shift. You know,
of course.
I mean,
But nowadays, truck drivers are being licensed to drive automated transmission only. They can't drive a stick, so they don't need to learn it. They test it in an automated transmission.
well, and
Yeah,
see, that always begs the question, though, of is the extra gallon or two that they're going to save in fuel worth the cost of some trying to find somebody to drive the stick?
it's not just the fuel they save. Um, your eyes are on the road, not looking at what gear you're supposed to be in. Um,
So you're arguing it's safer to have an automatic truck driver, an automatic transmission in a semi driving down the highway?
the owner said it was flat out. Period. It's safer. And then they went through safety classes just to operate an automated transmission. I had to go through like a half hour of like watching movies and other stuff, and then in the classroom, and then went out on the road for 3.5 hours just to learn how to operate it. And the thing is that technology we learned back then was changed within a year. We had to learn all over again. But then after, I mean, I actually went with a company that here I drove for 40 years before I come to them, and they said you need to sign this. What's this? It says that I will only drive an automated transmission. What? After all this time, but I said I don't care. Fine. I like them. I'll drive those things. It's a truck. So I did, and I signed that thing, and I just drove automated transmission. But they gave me a brand new truck one time because back in 2005, because it had an automated transmission, they wanted to get me out of the stick. 2 weeks after I came with the company, um, I went to them. My fleet manager,
I
what
mean,
they call that.
unless you have a fleet of all automatic,
Well, they didn't.
yeah.
They were just bringing them in.
But that's the point. If you're bringing in all automatics, there's a point where you can't hire people who can only drive automatics. Because what are you saying? They're never going to break down. You're always going to be able to stage them out with another vehicle.
Oh, drivers would refuse to work there. You say, they're driving the stick now in the company, and if people say, "Here's you got a new truck for you," and it's automated, and they're going, "No, no, no, I'm not driving that. I want a stick. Give me a new truck with a stick." And it's ain't gonna happen. We're not buying more of those things.
Okay, but if I'm responsible for fuel and you're only paying me per mile, then I would want a stick because then I have a better chance to control things like cruising and coasting.
No, the automated transmissions take care of all that.
But the automated transmission doesn't know unless it's got some sort of adaptation to the radar knowing what's in front of the vehicle.
Yes, they do.
Then you're at the point of, so you're almost at the point then of saying it's a self-driving vehicle.
Yeah, the only thing you do not do, I mean, that's not self-driving, is the steering wheel. Everything else is done for you. You don't press on the throttle. You don't press on the brake. No, it's all. Now you do that manually if you're going around town or something. But on the highway, no. Put in cruise control. Go up to 10 miles an hour. Put in cruise control. You're done. Just steer it, and everything is taken for you. If somebody cuts in front of you and stops or something like that, the truck takes care of that. It's going down a steep grade or something. The truck takes care of it. It's all done. And here's the thing: You're saying, well, you don't know what's a hill in front of you, especially at nighttime. You can't see the hill. Yeah, the truck sees it.
Yeah,
There's, and it'll start like it's going down a hill, and there's a big hill coming up. It'll release the and you'll speed up because it gets more momentum to go up the hill in front of you.
but you're talking today. I'm saying
That was back in
when you were talking.
2005.
Yeah, see, I would question how much of that was actually tested, because
It was called OPD or something like that.
I mean there are people who still complain today about not wanting the auto ignition cutoff because they think that somehow it's damaging the starter on their engine. Like I don't think the average consumer is educated on the complexity of the vehicle they drive after starting the car and driving it. You know, I mean, because hell, just this alone, I'm taking my wife's SUV in for a couple of days for its routine service. You know, it's the oil change, filter, checking everything else, but it's also a diesel engine. You know, I'm not a diesel mechanic.
No,
You
right.
know, they could see something in that engine when they run that quick performance diagnostic and test on it that I'm never going to know what to hear for. You know, and then they run it through the diagnostic because they hear something, and then the diagnostic engine runs my credit check and sees that I can afford to pay for new parts, and then the technician says, you need a new Deucin hanger. And I go, okay, I guess I need one, and then I pay the bill. Because that's how those systems work, right?
Yeah.
They break down when you have money. It's the linkage between the reports and your credit
Yeah.
check. They see that you posted on Facebook, you know. I just new bonus checks just came out. I just got a new promotion. And then you bring the car in and it goes, you need a new Deucin hanger.
Because they saw you made more the money.
I could call the service advisor that very good friend. We love the guy. Very nice guy. He always takes good care of us. He is. I could tell you without ever telling him. I just drop the car off and walk away without ever saying a word. And there, just every single time, it would be around bonus checks or some other event that occurred. He'd be like, "Hey, you're gonna need this and that and this," and it's like it just was always there. And I would ask him, it's like, were you looking in the glove compartment? Because that's where I put the bonus check I was going to go deposit after I picked my car back up. You know, it just always worked out that way. But he's the same guy that when I talked to him about the car needing work, I asked him, I said, did you check the glove compartment? And he goes, what's the matter with it? The light burned out or something? I said, no, that's where the pink slip is. And he goes, oh, I'll mark it down here. Only necessary repairs from this point forward. You know, because, I mean, when you have the pink slip in the car, I mean, unless it's a car you buy outright. You know, but buying a car outright today is always, I'm amazed how few people do it. You know,
I'll tell you something. A friend of mine said that he told me when you get those the keys that you get, ignition key for the car, and it's keyless ignition or keyless entry into your car just
yeah,
by
with the chip
pushing
in
the
it.
buttons on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he said the batteries of those things go out eventually. He said don't ever go to the dealer. They cost like $350 to replace the battery. And I said what? And I went down to this. I had a Subaru Outback, and I went to the Subaru dealer. He says, I said, how much does it charge to replace the batteries in these things? He says, the battery is like $3.50, whatever it was. And he says, we don't charge anything to put it in.
Are you sitting up straight? Because it's posture
Yeah.
check time again. You're supposed to check your posture. By the way, you know what comes with posture check, don't you? Gotta touch your toes. Stand up, reach down, touch them. Make sure they're still there. And then
All 12 of them?
And then reach over and what do you grab a drink of?
Water.
Gotta grab a drink of water. You know.
I have ice water here in front of me. I've been sipping it the whole time.
Did you have a cooler or a refrigerator in your cab?
Oh, just a cooler, but it's a 12-volt cooler. So it's in between what you just said. I didn't have an ice chest. A lot of drivers did have those, but all the new trucks coming out for shoot, they were there. I mean, I was there for 3 years company, and they were just getting these new trucks in with refrigerators and freezers in them. It was incredible. A freezer in a truck? Yeah, yeah, sure it is. But then they would still, even though they had a refrigerator, they would still have an ice chest because the refrigerator is way in the back, and I'm up here driving. I want a cold drink here now. I don't want to have to stop and get that thing out of the refrigerator.
Well,
I had my 12 volt cooler was skinny. It was called compact, and it was tied onto the seatbelt receiver on the passenger side, and I could reach over there and grab something out of there while I'm driving.
so driving our truck, this was years ago, from here down to Florida. You would get down around, you'd get past the drawbridge in DC, and then
I mean, Woodrow Wilson Bridge.
yeah, past the drawbridge, because that's a pretty big landmark that says, hey, it's depending upon what time of day it is, it's either a clear ride for the next 180 miles to the next state line, or I may have think I made it past DC, but now all the people who live on the other side of the river, I got to fight with them to get home too. But yeah, timing yourself to the drawbridges. Going through DC was always a big thing for us to decide, like, here we are and it's going to take us 3 hours. What time is it going to be 3 hours from now? Should I just putz around here for another hour, or should I get on the road? Because it doesn't matter if there's traffic here. It's a matter of what's the traffic like down the road.
Woodrow Wilson Bridge connected Virginia and Maryland. There's from that bridge, in any direction you want to go to, you're not going to drive 180 miles to a state line.
Yeah, you get to the other side of Virginia. Get to the North Carolina-Virginia border. On 95 South.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's like 3 hours down that way or something.
Yeah, about 180 miles. It might be 197. One of them might be 192. But it's 3 hours, 180 miles, state by state by state, taking 95 north to south. Except for Georgia, which is only 2 hours. And it's 2 hours because as much as you think you can speed through Georgia, it is darn risky to do.
Right.
But yeah, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, it's all, even Maryland. Maryland is 201. But it's still 3 hours because you can make a really good time through it.
If you go through Delaware, it ain't 200 miles.
Well,
like 16.
No, but you add Delaware and Jersey together if you're going up to New York, and then it depends upon which tunnel you're going to, and and if you're driving in a truck, can you afford to take the turnpike the whole way or not, or do you have to get off the turnpike?
Yeah, go across the twin bridges, the Delaware Memorial Bridge.
Yeah, but then you're either on 95.
It's 16 miles, I think.
Well, if you're on 295, yeah, because it's way better. Well, I mean, it's way better to do that than to go through Wilmington and then take the Commodore Barry.
Oh, gosh, yes.
I mean, the Commodore Barry is a horrible bridge. But it's like the, like Nixon's Bridge in Philadelphia. What the hell's that woman's name? The Betsy Ross Bridge. I mean, that thing is a white elephant. It's this huge bridge that takes you to nowhere from the other side of Jersey for no reason. But it did create jobs.
There's a highway in West Virginia going to Virginia. It's called the Highway to Nowhere. They made this big road that goes like east and west across West Virginia, and it would, like, how on Interstate 81 it comes up at exit 300, it hits 66 going into DC, a spur going into the Beltway in DC. Then the road comes down 66 and then it just stops and goes either south, or we were actually southwest or northeast, and then West Virginia said they want to run this road up there across West Virginia and then connect into 66. and they built the road since the '60s. They're still working on it, and then it's this huge road. I've been on it. It's just amazing. It went from mountaintop to mountaintop. You go off an exit, and you're going down for a ways.
Well,
Like,
I mean, I remember driving 95 when it was being built. I mean, you would get to a point where, all of a sudden you would just dump off into this little road, riding, like a half hour out, and then make a turn, drive for another half hour, an hour, and then make another turn, and then all of a sudden you come back to the highway again. Like it just, and if you look the way that the highway doesn't connect, all you saw was just this like ground where all the trees had been cleared, and you're like, how is an interstate going to get put in there? Like it's just, to take it from. But even here in Jersey, with 95 going up to Trenton, that thing was unfinished for decades, and it's like, it's the highway around the state capitol. You figure they would have gotten that done quick. But
yeah, what's that road that on George? Not 95, not
295 goes from
295.
Delaware Memorial Bridge up to 195 in Trenton, where 95 crosses back over, just like George Washington crossed the Delaware. 95 crosses back over the Delaware up north of Philly and back over to Trenton.
295 doesn't. It's not really finished either. I mean, you go through so far, then you have to take this exit, turn around, go this big circle, and you finally go back on 295 again. I'm like,
well, that's up outside of Borden. That's actually been finished. That's up around Bordentown and Princeton. Yeah. But where the bigger interchange is in South Jersey is where 295 meets 676 coming across the two bridges that come out of Philly. And then you got 295 north and south, 676 that takes you to the bridges. You've got Route 130, which parallels the Delaware River all the way up the state. You've got the New Jersey Turnpike. You've got 42, which goes down to into some larger bed communities of Philadelphia, and then you've got the Atlantic City Expressway. So and then you've got plus the local roads. So you really have an area very quickly where you could be on 10 different major roads. 6 of them are limited access highway, and they're doing a whole bunch of reconstruction here that started 7 years ago, and it's still going on. Because
listen, I'm rather curious here. How do you know all this?
I mean, we drive anywhere between 40 and 50,000 miles a year. I mean, we drive around.
What, in your car?
Yeah. Better than doing it on my bicycle. I mean, make quicker time.
No.
But, yeah, it's driving around. I mean, there are people, it's like when you talk to somebody who hasn't gone 40, 50 miles away from where they've lived for years. And it's like, I mean, like you never just wanted to go on a date for the day and just take a drive?
I used to do that too, to drive in the country and stuff, and I lived in the D.C. area, Northern Virginia.
Well, years ago, again, before GPS was, even a thing, when you take a trip, like our first trip that my wife and I took from Jersey down to Disney, we pulled out the National Geographic's Atlas of the United States. And we sat there and had a conversation about, okay, well, here's the trip. Here's where we got to go. Okay, these are toll roads. Make sure we have quarters, dimes, and nickels. Because, I mean, you think about a stupid system. Why would somebody have a toll booth for a nickel, dime, or a quarter? Like, it slows down traffic. How much could they possibly be collecting? And it's like, yeah, but if you're taking a drive, you got to throw in your quarter because you're using that stretch of the highway. And the Easy Pass system eliminated all that stuff.
Right.
I mean, like the traffic jams that used to be at toll booths. I mean, like, okay, so I don't remember what the system was going into Manhattan, or into New York City, but going into Philly, the system was this little sticker on the side of your window, and it had a barcode with a 5-digit number on it. And if you had the barcode, you paid the cheaper commuter price. And if you didn't have the barcode, you paid full price. And then when your barcode expired, you had to pull over to the far right lane and pay the person to get another sticker for the month. And they would sit there with a window scraper and scrape it off of the side of your car and slap on a new sticker. And then every day they would update the sign based upon how many stickers they sold. That said that, if your sticker number is 51196, you got to replace it. And that was the system. Somebody literally stood there and was like, 51196. Okay, you're good to go. Pay me 50 cents. Oh, no, you got to pay me $5. I mean, it was... And then when they went to the one-way tolls, I mean, whoever came up with that brilliant idea, I mean, they deserve a medal. I mean,
yeah, they started that.
You're going across the bridge. You got to come back sooner or later.
They did that down Hampton Roads, the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel and stuff. You only paid one direction. Right, you're going to be coming back. You're not going to be driving around the world trying to get a free ride. You could.
We were just on the bridge tunnel a couple weeks ago. They're doing some major construction on that again. It's like the whole...
John's moving there.
Yeah.
That way.
Yeah, that way. But he would be on the south end of the Delmarva Peninsula. But, yeah, that whole bridge tunnel thing, I mean, that thing's been there since the 60s. I mean, that's a major piece of highway that...
Oh, you're talking about the big one, the 25-mile long one?
Yeah, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel.
Oh, no, I'm talking about just the Hampton Roads Tunnel. Going down 64.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying, I understand it, but I'm saying as a thing, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel is, that's not a cheap toll.
I tell you what, back in the 80s, early 80s, going across that thing with a tractor trailer, $5 per axle. Back then, I have no idea what it would be today for a tractor trailer. Holy cow. What, a few $100s or something? Because there's 25 miles of that stuff.
Yeah, but think about how much time it saves you.
Oh, yeah, a bunch.
If you have to go that way.
Yeah, I was on a ferry one time. I had to go on the ferry. And then I asked him, I said, could people just bypass the ferry and drive around? He says, yeah, but four and a half extra hours. Really? And I said, yeah, this ferry cuts out a lot.
Well, you're talking about the Cape May Lewis Delaware ferry? Yeah,
you remember that.
I mean, every time we drive, we have a conversation about that. We want to take a trip to take the ferry. You really have to be, that has to be in your travel path. Otherwise, to detour around to go take it just for the fun of it, it is not it's not a fun detour. It's not a short thing to do.
No, I'd be on the road forever, and instead you can go on the ferry and have a beer or whatever, listen to music, and then you land, you go on the other side.
Well, if you're driving a truck across the Delmarva Peninsula, that means you're hauling chickens. That's huge. Purdue, Tyson plants out there.
Yeah, I did chickens. Awful work.
But
I would refuse to do it eventually, but I had chickens on a reefer, and then they offload the chickens, but they're left all his guts behind. I mean, it's chicken parts and stuff all over the place. And then I just brought the truck over to the next place to pick up a load. And the guy says, "Are you kidding me? I'm not going to step foot in that thing, let alone drive a forklift in there." They said, "No, you go over to this." He told me. He said, "No." They didn't have truck washes back then, back in the 80s. But they said, "You go to this place, and you've got this pressure washer thing. You can use the car stuff, but it's got this like 40, 50 foot long hose, and you can spray out your whole truck. And then go down to the grocery store and buy yourself a cheap can of coffee grounds, new coffee grounds, and just sprinkle it on the floor. And it takes the smell out." And it did. It was amazing. It smelled like coffee when I got there, but he says, "It's great. No problem here." I did exactly what he told me to do. Smart guy.
Well, when my father was working on trailers, depending upon who was doing the work and how long it was there, I'd go in and I'd sit there with a big push broom and sweep out all the trash from inside the trailer. And, sometimes the trash would be mostly empty beer cans from the guys doing the work. Because, they're stuck inside a trailer sitting there with a you know, having to do some repair work inside the frame and the sheet metal. They're just sitting in there drinking half the day. You know, it's hot, boring work to work inside a trailer. And then, like, you know, the only thing that's actually interesting is like the walking floor or hooking up the light, even the light system. You know, it's not that complicated to hook up the light system on a trailer. It's just you have to know how to do it. And you're running a cable set that goes all the way back to the brake lights and the, you know, the side lights. But, you know, if you tell somebody they got to repair it, it's boring. It's the setting it up that's fun because you're laying out all the cable sets and, you know, putting in all the clamps and putting the whole thing together.
Yeah, most truck drivers know how to do all that, to fix the lights and even replace windshield wipers and
I have
stuff.
seen truck drivers I have stood there while truck drivers have handed my father wads of cash to get the work done because they were there to pick up a trailer and they needed a couple lights replaced or a couple of reflectors repaired, and they either didn't have the parts, they didn't know how to do it, or what they would say is they didn't have the time. And I always just assumed it was they just didn't know how to do it. You know.
Well, I didn't know how to do it because when
Your mic cut out there. Okay, this is the end of this chunk of town. We said that because of the hill. We're not going any further. So, we'll see whenever Jeff gets back and gets his mic working. We need a park or something back here. Do we have anything? I mean, we could throw down a church. It has a huge radius, 70, 50, and a 50. So let's see. Medium church. If we put it in here, where's the circle? Oh, there it is. Oh, that coverage area is huge. We could put it over here. So why we're increasing happiness on the people that are already happy enough. And none of these other recreational spots are getting filled in. Yet it's telling us. They're not moving in. But the moment we pop down a Rico, we are getting people. I mean, if I gotta keep putting down Ricos. How's our elementary school system? How's police and fire look? We haven't checked that the whole time we've been here. And well, that is not, that didn't help anything. This park is not doing a huge boost. But if this thing becomes a high-rise, huge 20-square building thing, but yeah, we're not going to change this starter town area. I mean, you got to get to 2200, and then what do we even unlock at 2200? Do we unlock anything? We get transportation. That's it. Yeah, see, that's huge. See, we got to stay here until we get to transportation. And this should be. I mean, there's some huge commerce buildings I don't want to put in here. Get some office buildings. Let's see. Industrial. Colossal Glassworks. That is interesting. Office buildings. I bet these things are way too expensive. Why the hell is this $10? Oh, come on. That's outrageous. That's industrial. We have no need for that. How about commercial? Do we have any? $50 workplaces. Do something like that. Is anybody going to be able to work here? Let's see. I don't think we're going to get anybody here. Oh, no, we got somebody. Not enough water. How are we missing water back there? I thought we put water everywhere. What a slacker. Who's the mayor of this one hick town? There we go.
Hello?
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Did you recharge your battery?
Hello?
I hear you.
Still can't hear you.
We hear you fine.
Hold on here.
Where'd you go? We hear you. Oh, no. Huh. Gap. That's a cool looking building. Is this the Gap building? No, it's not. Hmm. 8 of 50 workers. See, when we put the train and the bus station in here, that'll give us a wealth of parking that will cater to all this around here. All of Bedford Hills. What policies? Do.
Hello?
All right, Jeff, I'm hearing you. Do you hear me?
Well, there you are.
Hey, welcome back. Did you figure
I
out what
I
happened?
don't know what happened, but I finally just unplugged the USB cord and put it back in again. But I also looked down and noticed that this cable that's coming from my headset to the USB adapter and stuff, it plugs into it. It was unplugged sitting on the desk. What the hell are you unplugged for? I mean, it's like somebody came up behind me and unplugged the thing.
It's on strike. Gotta be careful.
Jeez. I don't know how that happened. Well,
Stuff.
anyway, Satisfactory. Oh, here's the thing. I don't want to play through, a month or 2 months, whatever, of getting all the way past 4, and then 5's not there.
Well, to maximize out the space elevator only takes a couple hours.
Do what?
Yeah. It only takes a couple of hours to fill out the space elevator. So you start
Sure.
out with, because you start out with your first resource, you gather your second and your third, you start your one facility, you make the space elevator building as soon as it unlocks, and when you set up the space elevator building, you make it so that it has multiple belt feeds going into it. And then feeding off of that belt, you have a dedicated, because you got to remember the space elevator is only a one-time use. So you feed the space elevator, which is a problem I have with the space elevator. I personally think it was a huge oversight. The space elevator should be a component of the game forever. I would eliminate the chippers. I think the shredder system is a horrible thing. You should have to use the space elevator.
Listen, update 1, 2, and 3 were freaking easy. No problem get through there.
Yeah.
4, on the other hand, is a little bit too much. Those when you mix copper and you make the copper, not the wire, but the cable, the copper, 2,000 of them. Wait a minute, 2,000 of them. I can't. You can make 1 or 2 machines making cables, and it would take a year to get through all of them. So you can't just have 1 or 2 machines. You're going to have a whole bunch of them.
Well, that's why our last map, if we were to load it up today on a dedicated server, would require 32 gig of memory. Because the map file is that huge. Because we built factory buildings for everything. I mean, if I pull up the last map, in the first area when you walk around, just in the desert biome, there's a building dedicated to making nothing but precast concrete. Because you need a never-ending supply of it. And every building has a pipe that goes back to central storage. And once central storage is full, everything then goes out to the shredder for points. And the point system is just a constant stream of point, 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 point. It's just constantly dinging. The last playthrough we had, just in the desert alone, we had 4 shredders to handle all the surplus of stuff that was being ripped up. You know, you make a building that has, nothing in it but, the goal of 3 machines at the end, 100% utilization. So now you've got to have a ton of iron coming in and a ton of copper coming in. And you back yourself into the system of how much does it take to feed this machine. And then you're looking at, well, this is a pure node. This is a tight, a level 2 or level Mark 2, Mark 3 belt. How much am I bringing it in? And then, you're using a splitter to balance out the math for how much do you send down the line. It's when you have a building and then you go down into the subfloor and you see this huge network of belts feeding every machine, they should all be moving constantly. It's you fly around on the map, all you have to do is get yourself to a belt. You get yourself to a belt, you land on it, and it should be flying you to a factory building. I mean, Natme and I did it for aluminum production. We went up to the pink forest. We gathered up every node. We set up every belt, and one by one, every one of those belts came into a huge bus line, and that bus line went all the way down to a lake where the water is, right on the edge of the pink forest and the desert, the dune desert as they're calling it now, because that's the appropriate buzzword of the day. And within that desert, that's where we had all the aluminum production. You brought in all the bauxite. It's a lot of work to set it up, but once it's set up, especially if you want it to look nice, but you take 2 or 3, you take 2 or 3 people like Natme and I running around bringing all the resources in, and then you take 1 or 2 people who are organized building up the factory to look nice. All of a sudden, an entire biome has all of its resources tapped and being brought in. And then what happens is you grab things like, oh, here's a couple of extra iron nodes. Do we need them? Bring them in anyway. And now alongside, you've suddenly got yourself an iron belt and then a copper belt or 2. And you bring all these resources in, and it's like, why'd you bring this iron and copper in? Set up a train station, haul it out of here. Well, okay, but should I be hauling the ore out? No. Process it first. You take your first stage processing, and then you load it up on the train, and you ship it out. Where does it go? I don't know. I don't care. Just send it to whatever station needs it. And now you've got another train running, making deliveries. Well, okay, but when I get to that station, it's going to take a while for it to unload. Build another track. I mean, if you take anyone, especially, after playing Factorio with people here like Natme, it's Satisfactory is a fun game, but it's also simple. And there's no risk. Your buildings don't get destroyed. Your character never dies. There's no risk to you.
No, wait a minute. But you can go beyond what the normal. I mean, if you're going from one machine to another one with a conveyor belt, and then to another one or 2, whatever. Yeah, right. That's the old way.
Then you're running trucks, and then you run trains.
When you look at this, like this built thing that I built, there's all these machines connected together, and there's no belts being used. None. You can't see a belt of open product flying down. No, that's old school.
Then how are you transferring resources? You're using a truck everywhere, or are you using a train?
No. It's all compact. The machines are right next to each other, and I mean, I built rows of machines. They're connected, but not through a belt. Not through like a horizontal belt. No, you use those. I found a way to do it.
Well, Jeff, hold on a second, Jeff, because I'm at an hour and a half on my stream, and I still have not met my goal for today. So I am going to stop my stream where it is, and I'm going to save the game, and then next time I come back, I'm going to be at 1,799 people, still trying to get to 2,200 and push